The Atlantic Beach mayoral race shifted unexpectedly when challenger and former Atlantic Beach Mayor Ellen Glasser withdrew due to health issues. As part of our ongoing election coverage, I'm joined now by the incumbent mayor, Curtis Ford. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, we initially booked you for the segment when it was a contested race. We appreciate you keeping the appointment now that there effectively is no race. You've been deemed elected without an opposition. How does this change things for you?
Well, first of all, running any race for political office is a stressful event. So this changes my life considerably for the next 30 days. I'm not running the race, but I'm actively engaged in several big issues for the city. And of course, we've just come through two hurricanes. So flooding is a concern in the city. We're working on that. We have this coming year, we're going to open up and have a new study done to review and make some changes in our master stormwater plan to give relief to the citizens. And I'm happy to share a few of those details if you ask.
Tell us first, I mean, what is Atlantic Beach like, this beach community? I think a lot of times those of us on the other side of the ditch lump them all together, the beaches. But how is Atlantic Beach separate and distinct from Neptune and Jacksonville Beach?
Well, thanks. That's a great question. We look at ourselves as one beach community: Jacksonville Beach, Neptune, and Atlantic, but we are actually very distinctly different. Jacksonville Beach is more of a destination spot, although even in Atlantic Beach, we have what's known as Beaches Town Center. And I hope people that are listening to this show frequent Beaches Town Center. We have great restaurants and shops. But we are a smaller community of 13,500 residents. We are a bedroom community, certainly in the Northeast Florida area. We spend so much of our time and effort trying to maintain the quality of life as that type of community, and not a coastal destination like a Daytona Beach or even a Jacksonville Beach.
Yeah. And so, what services does your city provide? I know that there's these interlocal agreements
Mm.
with, for instance, the fire department provides services, but what services does the city itself manage?
We manage pretty much everything. We utilize JEA for our electric. The other two beach communities have beaches. Um, um, what is it?
Utilities.
Yeah, I guess it's beaches utilities. But anyways, so we're JEA, but we provide our police. Safety. We provide water, potable water, sewer services, uh, uh, land development and building services, public works, public utilities. So we provide all the things that a city would provide. However, being part of the consolidated city of Jacksonville, most of our tax dollars go to Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville provides services back to us. As an example, um, part of that would be fire, although we pay for that, but we are part of JFRD. And the court system in Duval County is provided through the city of Jacksonville. We pay for that through ad valorem taxes to Jacksonville. There's some things that Jacksonville is responsible for. We're actually back talking about the interlocal agreement because some of these things are not being provided, and they should be. Things like dog catcher expense, beach maintenance, beach access. These are big issues. The beaches are for everyone, specifically for all residents of Duval County, but even for our guests. But the beaches themselves bear the brunt of the cost of maintaining good access and so on. So we have to have a better partnership with the city of Jacksonville. I'm very pleased to say that the Deegan administration is open arms to improving that relationship and support. And certainly the City Council of Jacksonville, I think, will back some of the recommendations from our committee.
And you're a local boy, you're a Fletcher grad,
Yeah.
you're a longtime surfer. How have you seen the community change in your lifetime?
This is where you get me in trouble because it starts to point out just how long I've been at the beach. But when I was growing up in Neptune Beach, we only had one traffic light on A1A or Third Street, and that was at Beach Boulevard and Third. At Atlantic Boulevard, we had a flashing yellow or red, depending upon which direction you were coming from. And when wintertime came, people went home and did not come back across the ditch until spring.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it has changed a lot.
It's changed a tremendous amount, and it's this growth and development that presents the problems today. No matter where you are on the belief system of global warming and sea level rise, it is clear that we have storm events today that we have not had at the same level in recent decades. And so, as development continues to occur, and we're built out in Atlantic Beach, but we have what I'll call redevelopment, knockdown rebuilds. And so lot coverage is a big deal because that water's got to go somewhere. So we just had a big, we passed an ordinance last night doing some relief on our stormwater requirements, but we'll delve into the big issues on stormwater next year. We're having a consultant do a new study, and we'll be looking at ways of capturing and controlling stormwater to give relief to our citizens from flooding.
Yeah, because to your point, one of the problems with development is it creates impermeable surfaces.
That's it.
And so lot coverage matters in terms of,
Well, and thanks for asking that. Lot coverage matters for stormwater issues, but it's also about quality of life and green space. So, do we want to drive down our streets and see wall to wall concrete? No, we don't. We want to see green space. We want to see trees. We are a Tree City USA designation in Atlantic Beach, and we have a fabulous community. It is not comparable in the other two beach cities. So we want to make sure we keep that, uh, front and center.
yeah. If you're just joining us, I'm talking to Mayor Curtis Ford of Atlantic Beach. He is no longer running for reelection. He is going to take another second term, but he's also taking your calls and questions. You can reach us at 904-549-2937. You can also email firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. We have a call from Steve in Atlantic Beach. Good morning, Steve. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor Ford,
Good
or should
morning.
I say Mayor Commissioner Ford. Would you explain to the listeners what your role and duties and powers are in Atlantic Beach as different than Neptune Beach, Jacksonville Beach, and Jacksonville with our
Sure.
it's called our commission city manager form of government.
Sure. Thank you, Steve, for that question. Uh, we are sometimes referred to a weak mayor form of government. The city is actually run by the city manager. So, for simpler explanation, he's the CEO of the organization, and I, as the mayor, am more like a chairman of the board. So there's a commission of 5 people. I'm one of those commissioners. I'm seat one. So I have the same voting power as 4 other commissioners. There's each of us has 20% of the total overall vote, assuming all commissioners are there at one time. But as the mayor and a commissioner, my role is legislation, appropriation, uh, policy to some degree, and direction of the city. And then in the event of disasters and emergency declarations, I'm the face of the city with the public safety and so on. So I have a role that's a little bit more expanded than the regular commissioner, but very much the same, and very much a deliberative body that has to find consensus to get things done. We do that. We had a great meeting last night, and we passed some minor changes to our stormwater code, and it was a give and take. We gave up a few things to get a few things, and we punted on some big issues that we'll readdress in the coming year.
Do you consider yourself a pretty good consensus leader?
I actually hope that'll be part of my legacy is that people say that that Mayor Ford was able to bring people together, and I'll give you one of my I won't call it a challenge, but it's certainly a goal, and that is in the next few years I really want to cement one Atlantic Beach. I want all of our citizens to feel as valued no matter what part of the city you're in. So we have the marsh front in Atlantic Beach. We have the ocean front. We have the west side of Atlantic Beach. We have the east side. And we have different areas of the city, and not all areas have always been treated the same. So it's my goal to make sure that we do that. And to that end, we put a lot of investment in Marsh Oaks, Atlantic Beach over the last number of years. The most recent investment is we've acquired a 5,000 square foot building next to Veterans Memorial Park off of Mayport Road in Atlantic. That building will serve that part of town, but it'll be a great addition to the city, both parks and community center setup that we have throughout the city to serve that area of Atlantic Beach.
Talk about the presence of the naval station, Mayport. That is a big part of that area. I'm sure a defining characteristic. How does that uh, facility affect how you run your government or the lives of your residents?
It has a direct impact, and I'll give you an example in a moment. But it is so important, and having grown up in Neptune Beach and then Atlantic Beach, it's always been important to take care of our sailors and our service men and women at Naval Station Mayport. But it's ever important today. I have a great relationship with Base Commander Captain Bender, and I just have to compliment him and the former Admiral Aiken that just recently retired. Their outreach to Atlantic Beach and engagement of our community is just absolutely the best. They recognize the partnership matters, and I'm going to give you a great example. We just received a over $1 million funding grant from Congressman Rutherford towards a resilient project where we're hooking up our water supply to Mayport Naval Station, and vice versa. They'll be hooked to ours. It's not because we're going to sell them water or vice versa. It is a resiliency play in the event that either of our water systems are compromised, whether it be a terrorist event or a storm event. We would be able to use the other entity's water. That's good for our citizens. That's good for the base, good for the military, and good for the country.
I mean, let's talk about resiliency. You've seen the same maps that I've seen, I'm sure, that
hmm
show over time, particularly maps like from NOAA. A lot of Atlantic Beach and a lot of Mayport is forecasted to be underwater or impacted by water in a very serious fashion. How do you manage that forecast?
Well, that's a tough one because we're not going to become Little Holland and build a dike system around the island, but we have to do things every year, every decade going forward to plan for the future. And an example is changing our building code to add another foot above the base flood elevation established by FEMA. As we know, FEMA changes their maps over time, and they haven't gone down the last I've checked on base flood elevation. So, as we build new homes, we should be very mindful of that. It's hard to remedy existing homes. Raising a home that's on a concrete slab is not a financially viable solution in most cases, although that can be done. That's just one thing. We're a flat piece of land at the beach, and so one of the issues we have is we can't. You don't have a sanitary sewer system that's gravity fed. It's flat. So we have lift stations throughout the city that move effluent from point A to point B. And so we've been working hard to be resilient in that space, adding generators to run those lift stations in the event of power outages. But we're even going so far as we actually have a project to raise two of our lift stations higher than where they are currently so that they're out of the flood uh, um, elevation.
Wow. We've got a call from Mary in Atlantic Beach. Good morning, Mary. Go ahead.
Hello, Mayor Ford.
Hello, Mary.
I noticed when you started speaking that you said more or less whichever side of the equation you're on about, well, you didn't call it global warming, but about climate change.
Yes.
And then you just kind of proceeded. And I would like to know if you would be willing to say if you really do think that climate science is fluffy, or if you have your own opinion. As mayor, it matters what your opinion is
Sure.
about global warming as a concept.
Thanks, Mary.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. This is a long, long conversation, so I won't be able to get to the detail on this show. But clearly, we have global warming occurring. Clearly, we have climate change, and clearly, we have sea level rise. So I'm a practical mayor. I believe in common sense over politics. So this isn't about Republicans or Democrats, conservatives or liberals. This is just the reality that we face. So to answer the question, my job as the mayor of Atlantic Beach is to steward or shepherd our city to a better place or the best place we can be, and that requires diligence with regards to sea level rise and the impacts of weather changes.
Yeah, and just to push on Mary's question a little
Mm,
bit, I mean, do you believe that this is human-caused climate change? Because there are policy,
mm,
if impacts if people believe that something can be done to counteract it by changing human behavior.
yeah, I absolutely believe that humans impact climate, but I can't begin to. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to begin to try to figure out what those level of impacts are. I think the way I proceed in my own life is uh, take care of what I'm doing first, and then I can take care of others. So I have to live the right kind of lifestyle myself. For example, composting. I'm a composter, protecting our trees on my own property, not just public lands. And so being a good steward means starting and showing on your own actions, and then you can do that for others. But I can't begin to play scientist on this and what level man is causing global warming. I'm going to leave that up to smarter people than me.
In terms of becoming more resilient, you actually tried a new tack with your partners in Neptune Beach during this last storm. These tiger dams that are
Yeah.
inflatable, kind of with water, and they service as a alternate to maybe putting a giant pile of sand where you might have storm surge. So how did they work?
We didn't get to test them. So the storm surge did not breach or even attempt to breach the Tiger Dams. So it was a first ever application. I was delighted to see it in action. But I want to tell you there's two sides on this issue. So it's already bubbled up that maybe Tiger Dams are not what we want on our dune line. So there are people that are very much in the know on what is best for the sea turtles, for our plants and protection of the dunes. And so maybe tiger dams won't be the solution in the future, although I do believe they probably can work pretty well. The city of Jacksonville is investing in these tiger dams and will be warehousing them at a location unknown. So they'll be more easily deployable in the future. And what I actually see for the tiger dams is a better application in protecting public utilities, buildings, police and safety. If you're in a flood-prone area, and City of Jacksonville is already doing that. At the beach, what I would like to see is a better use of beach sand to actually plug those breaches in the dune line, so that we're not bringing in tiger dams.
Yeah. Well, a lot to talk about. Mayor Curtis Ford, thank you so much for coming in today. Good luck your next term. We appreciate it. Hope
Thank,
to talk to you again soon.
thank you so much.